In 1971, Dodge launched a van that would outlive 3 generations of Ford Econolines, 2 complete GM redesigns, and the entire American station wagon market. It wasn't the fastest vehicle on the road, it wasn't the most refined, and it certainly wasn't the quietest. Engineers had traded acoustic comfort for structural efficiency, and the engine sitting between the driver and passenger made sure you never forgot it. But the Dodge B-Series van was something rarer than fast or quiet. It was right. Right for fleets, right for families, right for the open road, and for one very loud decade, right for anyone who wanted to express themselves on 4 wheels and a shag carpet. This is the story of the most stubborn van in American automotive history. Before the B-Series existed, Dodge built the A100, a forward control van that placed the driver directly over the front axle, with the engine wedged beneath the cab. It was compact, clever, and by the late 1960s running out of room to grow. Fleet buyers wanted more capacity. Families wanted more space. The market was moving, and Dodge needed to move with it. What they introduced for 1971 was not a simple refresh, it was a fundamental rethink of how a van could be built. The engineers ditched the conventional body-on-frame construction used by Ford and General Motors. In its place, they developed a one-piece welded unibody they called the Uniframe, a structure reinforced by 2 full-length U-channels welded directly into the floor pan. The result was a platform that was lighter than a traditional frame setup but nearly as rigid. It gave the van a lower cargo floor than either of its American rivals, and a lower center of gravity that genuinely improved handling for a vehicle of its size and weight. There was a cost. Noise, vibration, and harshness were the trade-off. The engine cover sitting between the front seats made sure of that. But for the buyers Dodge was targeting, ride refinement ranked well below payload capacity and total cost of ownership. From the beginning, Dodge understood that some buyers needed more than a standard van could offer. School districts, charter operators, airport shuttle companies, anyone moving people in volume was stuck choosing between an undersized van and an oversized bus. Neither option was ideal. Dodge saw the gap and built directly into it. In 1971, the same year the B-Series launched, Dodge introduced the Maxi Wagon. The concept was straightforward. Extend the rear body by 18 inches beyond the standard long wheelbase configuration. Add a 4th row of seating, and deliver a vehicle capable of carrying 15 passengers without a commercial driver's license or a bus depot to store it in. Nothing like it existed in the American market. Ford and General Motors would follow within a few years, but Dodge got there first, and in a segment defined by institutional purchasing cycles, being first matters enormously. Once a school district, a church, or a shuttle company standardizes on a vehicle, it tends to stay standardized. The Maxi Wagon locked in a generation of buyers before the competition could respond. The modern SUV eventually displaced this market, but for 30-plus years, the Maxi Wagon was the answer to the question of how you moved 15 people without chartering a bus. The 1971 lineup launched with a 198 cubic inch Slant 6 as standard equipment. The 30-degree tilt of the engine block wasn't styling, it was an engineering solution that lowered the center of gravity, improved carburetor fuel distribution, and almost incidentally, made the engine short enough to fit under the hoods of cars that would otherwise have needed a redesign. The Slant 6 itself remained in production in these vans until 1987, 16 years in one application, before being replaced by a fuel-injected 3.9-liter V6 developed for the Dodge Dakota. The numbers changed. The reputation didn't. By the mid-1970s, something unexpected was happening to the B-Series van. It had started its life as a fleet vehicle, a tool for businesses, churches, and government agencies. But a new kind of buyer had appeared, and they weren't interested in hauling cargo. They were interested in living in the back of a van, and they wanted everyone to know it. The custom van culture of the 1970s was a genuinely American phenomenon, part hot rod movement, part counterculture spillover, part pure automotive self-expression. Dodge didn't just tolerate this market, they built directly into it. In 1976, the company introduced the Street Van package, a factory option for the windowless Tradesman cargo van that gave buyers a starting point for customization. High back bucket seats, chrome trim, and paint schemes that made clear this vehicle was not destined for a loading dock. The street van packages were discontinued after 1981 as cultural tastes shifted, but in the 5 years they ran, they cemented something in the public imagination that no amount of subsequent fleet-focused marketing could erase. The Dodge van had been, for one memorable decade, the vehicle of a generation that wanted the road and the freedom it implied. By the early 1990s, the B-Series van was operating on borrowed time, and everyone at Chrysler knew it. The platform was over 2 decades old. Chrysler's answer was not a clean sheet redesign. It was a series of increasingly substantial updates that kept the platform compliant and competitive without the cost of starting over. The 1994 refresh gave the van new front sheet metal styled to match the redesigned Dodge Ram pickup trucks, structural reinforcements to improve crash protection, front side door impact beams, and better roof crush resistance. The driver's side airbag arrived the following year. In 1995, the deeper surgery came in 1998. This was the update that actually addressed the van's most persistent ergonomic complaint, the doghouse. The engine cover sitting between the front seats had always been the B-Series van's most obvious concession to its packaging compromises. For 1998, Chrysler moved the powertrain significantly further forward in the chassis, which required a longer hood and redesigned front fenders, but delivered a substantially smaller engine cover inside the cabin. The dashboard was completely redesigned for the first time since 1978. Dual airbags were fitted, and the suspension was updated for improved ride and handling. The van that had no right to still be competitive stayed competitive for 5 more years. It is impossible to tell the story of the Dodge B-Series without spending time in the Tradesman. While the Maxi Wagon and the street van got the attention, the windowless cargo van was where the real commercial history was written. The Tradesman was the platform that Dodge sold to the upfitters. The B-Series, with its 33-year production run and minimal structural changes, was the ideal conversion platform. The fixtures built for a 1975 Tradesman would fit a 1990 model. That kind of continuity is worth money, and the upfitter market voted with its purchase orders. The 127-inch wheelbase variant became the standard choice for tradespeople across North America: plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians, the entire skilled trades economy that keeps a country's buildings operational. The Dodge B-Series van holds a place in American automotive history that has nothing to do with performance figures or design awards. Parts were abundant and cheap because 33 years of production meant 33 years of manufacturing volume. Mechanics who had learned these vans in the 1970s could still work on them in the 2000s without retraining. It was a van you could understand by looking at it, fix with parts from an auto parts store, and operate for decades without a proprietary diagnostic tool. That quality is difficult to put a price on, and it becomes visible only in the moment it disappears. The last Ram van rolled out of the Windsor plant, and with it went the last of the vans Detroit had built on the premise that durability, simplicity, and sheer mechanical stubbornness were a product offering in themselves.